And then how do you end up leaving all that to becoming a stay-home mother?
As a nanny for families, I started going to the pharmacy and buying antidepressants. At least I knew I was looking for somewhere where I was going to be vulnerable and where someone was not going to judge me. And remember, at that point in my life, I was just looking for purpose. Like I was just looking for how can my life count so much more than where I am. I think all M had there was camera film school. Go. I know. WhatsApp is the one which I use just to encourage people to start coming to my inbox, start to have conversations. If you're going to meet people and make an impact and global village, you're going to find it on your gadget. We've literally built a business, Tusu Interiors, literally just on WhatsApp.
Hi guys, you are welcome back, Significant Woman, and today I have an amazing lady. She's going to tell us about herself. I don't want to say her name, but when we talk about anything digital, my mind comes to Faith. And I thought I would bring her here and we have a conversation. We are women in digital. Yeah, so I'm really excited to have her here, and I'm going to learn from her journey. So Faith, if you can just tell us briefly about who you are, and then we will share, she'll be sharing with us her journey. How she became a digital missionary. So please, Faith, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Faith Frida Letasi. My friends call me Fifi or Letasi, either of those two. If somebody calls me Faith, usually I'm like, this is a work person. If someone calls me Frida, now that is like village, deep down, like home in the village where my father and mother will be buried. Yeah, but like generally, I just go by Fifi.
Okay.
Yes.
Please, who is Faith? Please.
Wow. I'm married. I'm a lawyer. In my other life, I think I was, yes, but I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God, and I'm a mother and I'm a wife. In the season that I am in right now, those are the things that really so much stand out, because right now I'm a stay-home mom. Despite all the other things that we are going to talk about, the things that I do, the things that I am, church, ministry, like albeit all those things, the thing that I wake up ruminating about is how am I going to be a perfect mother and wife today.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow, that is really interesting, Faith. First, you're a lawyer. I know you've done a lot of ministry in several places, including Butavika. I think that's where we met.
Yes.
So just share briefly on that, because how do you be a lawyer, you're into ministry, but then now I want to say identify, you're a stay-home mother.
Yes.
How is that experience for you?
So law, and then after that I am a child protection and safeguarding consultant and specialist. So I've always been into spaces of advocacy and things like that. So that pushed me really when I looked about what would best serve my gifts, my interests. Yes, I was very fortunate that when I finished my law degree, everyone around me could see my gifts and my calling towards children. Like I've always been so excited about that. Yes, so I was able to go to now Makerere from UCU and study child protection and safeguarding, and worked in that space for a couple of years, really. But why I think I eventually left, like my first employment in that space, was it was now more of training. I wasn't doing like so much the one-on-one with the children. You know, like not reached there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
you're simply like now doing trainings for organizations, for what, and it stopped being fulfilling. And then I got an opportunity to go work in Butabika, and yeah, so
probably before you go ahead, what is Butabika? It means something to Ugandans, but maybe those who are watching.
So Butabika is the National Mental Health Hospital. So yes, at that point they were looking for a children's worker, and it was so scary. It was so scary when let me say I was scouted. So, you know, when I met the people and they said, oh, well, would like you to come and work with us. I think I was also like in transition in my life. So it really fit in well with that. And I didn't know. I think I was just like every other Ugandan. You get. But I think God was just bringing me full circle to what he really knew my heart was beating for. Because even before, I had really talked to one of my bosses and been like, but we're working with children, but I don't see a component of children with disabilities. And in that point, I think my mind was more about like the physical disabilities, not the mental disabilities. When I was supposed to start my job in Butabika, guys, whoever has a fear, you'd be like me. It took a week. After a week, I hadn't show. Like when I was supposed to show up, it was like, gosh, what is this? But after a week, of course, my team leader then calls me and is like, hello, you didn't show up too. What happened? But yeah, I showed up, and it's one of the best places that I've had the pleasure of working. Yes. So that's now where I go into like the mental advocacy and all these things. Yeah.
And then how do you end up leaving all that to becoming a stay-home mother?
Oh my gosh. So I think I had dreams. I had dreams like everyone else. People around me had dreams for me. I should have been probably like on my way as a judge in the ICC.
You know,
by now. But so I got married, and one thing, because and I have been in that, like around the circles of children and so much, we've really like volunteered there in church as children's workers, as children's church teachers. We had really known one of the things that we would do in life was we would homeschool. We would homeschool, because I'd also like worked as a nanny for families. I had nannied. We have a nanny business.
Anything around children.
Yes, anything around children. So that's one thing that we knew, and yeah. So for the homeschool, and in my mind, the decisions were not yet so clear, but you know, whether we would have like tutors with our curriculum, they're called supervisors, to come and supervise and things like that. But I think it just really came naturally when when I had my child, like, okay, one thing led to another. And I think COVID for us, because I gave birth in COVID, it made it easier to, okay, so after 2 years, not to go back into the job. That I wasn't very devastated. There's some people who continued working, but for us, because of no funding, we stayed home. And when COVID didn't happen, I didn't get to
go
back to work. I just continued with, you know, staying home.
Wow, that's really a good journey. Like there are so many transitions, you know, from being a lawyer to a child's advocate, then a mentor, then home. So now, how does your journey of becoming a digital missionary begin? So
now you see, Edith, me, I'm a go-getter. Like I was like a go-getter type. Now you're home. so like you keep having those conversations. I think it's called communication. There are conversations that we keep ruminating about, and I think one of those that reached is that as a homemaker, we just got to the point and decision where, because I think also of that trauma that we've carried over, my husband and I, from like working with kids and all these things, it was so clear that I wanted to stay home and not have someone bring up my children. That's a decision that we both agreed on. We talked about it. What will this mean for our family? What does it mean for finances? It was easier to be like, oh, I'm blessed to have 2 years. I mean, like my child making 2 years now, I can get back into work. Then these conversations come in. So no maid, we agreed on that. So being home was tough. Being home was tough. I think all this period I had postpartum depression. And because I'd been in mental health, I'd been educating myself, I'd been doing I knew I eventually, when the depression was really not ceasing, when I started going to the pharmacy and buying antidepressants, it was scary, because now I'm thinking, remember I used to do spiritual therapy at Butabika at the hospital. So, and then like all these things that we'll do at the hospital, really, and I was thinking, hey, now from being a caregiver
to the care needer.
To the care needer, yes. And so it really brought me face to face with the things that people say, like the stigma, like that stigma, the fear of bagena kumpita mulalu. And like I'm looking at myself, thinking of myself as the mulalu, yet like we keep giving the education. In fact, I'm one of those people, once someone just says abalalu, like I'm always the one fighting those unnecessary battles of like sibalalu, barade, like sick, these are just sick people, like they are patients, just the same way someone has like heart disease or diabetes or malaria. This is also just an illness. And so yeah, like the post, I denied it so much until, and one of the things that I knew is you're home, you've lost your friends at church, you've lost your friends at church. Somehow in the working world, people move on with their lives because now they have KPIs, they have what your life is no longer about those things. And I also wasn't intentional about keeping my friends there. Man, you guys, like, you're depressed, you're not going to be thinking about like keeping your friends. And I also think at that point in my life, like, we're being honest and helping other people. I didn't have friendships that ran really deep. Yeah, so that the isolation, there was so many other things. And then being in the first 2 years of being married, like we are isolated, we are like, we didn't know how to help ourselves. Life was really chaotic. Life was really, really chaotic. And I think how now
you become,
I get into like digital it took a lot of humility and also going to like God. Actually, before seeking help, before seeking help, I knew like I had postpartum depression and things like that, but really going out there. And also just that isolation of, I really got to a point where I'm like, okay, so now I studied, I worked, I worked. My life, is it going to be all about the pampers, the child is sick, cough syrups, what, the food, the clothes, the ironing? My life really had lost meaning and balance. And I think that's when it took me literally, I think, a year, Edith, with sometimes, you know, like my husband telling me, but seek help, you know, like seek help. I'm thinking people are going to judge me, people, but like that pushing, it literally took me a year before I could take that step and call you. So
what should I say, what inspired you? Because I remember when you texted me, I think we had spent like a long time, like 3 years without talking, although we had contacts. So what inspired you to call and contact me? What were you seeking, or what did you see you would be able to get from this side?
First of all, I didn't even know for sure what Life Ministry was about, what you did, how like the whole missionary work thing does. But all I want to say is that whoever else is in my contact list, I am sorry.
Please forgive her in advance.
I am sorry, but at least I knew I was looking for somewhere where I was going to be vulnerable and where someone was not going to judge me. And that's one of the things that really made it very hard for me to go back to like all the psychologists, the doctors, the psychiatrists that I knew, like in my workplace. It was like, I don't know, but I just really thought I needed like a safe place and a safe space and someone whom I would be able to be vulnerable to and just speak with where I was at life. And I think I had also watched you like live your life with like purpose. There's like a purpose that was just so unexplainable, even like in the times that I'd known you before. And remember at that point in my life, I was just looking for purpose. Like I was just looking for, how can my life count so much more than where I am? And that's what led me to like make that conversation.
Okay, so now we meet. I remember, I think we met like somewhere down there and we talked. So how has your now from that place, even after our conversation, now how do you start? Because right now you're inspiring many people, many people know you, like you're doing so many things, and many teams here want faith here, faith the other side, you know. So how do you now transition to get out of that that state that you are in, that depression and feeling like you don't have a purpose, after our conversation? Because we talked at length about ministry and what you can do digitally and all that. Now, how do you transition to where you are now? You can take us through that journey.
When God gives you gifts and some of those things that we call interests and hobbies and stuff like that, I mean, we have that conversation, and that was the first time I think I heard about like digital strategies and all those things. Oh, by the way, Faith, like there's so much more that you can do in the comfort of your home, you know, that can just make so much sense. Those things. And remember when we talked about like the digital, I think you had like a class that was going to start for the film school. It would take place like on weekends, so my schedule would be able to allow that and things like that. The flexibility, I think also of, I would put a toe in, you know, I went on dipping in slowly and slowly. And I think because I've always had like an interest with like camera and things like that and photography, so I think all M had there was camera, film school. Go.
I know. That's where your interest.
Like that's where your interest. Like it's been a hobby. You know, it's been a hobby. He would always be that sort of person who would say, Faith, you need to be like on NBS, like for you, camera, reading news and things like that. And I was just thinking, like, man, my life, I was like,
Not like down there.
yeah. So for him, it was like, camera is your thing, but. Even with when we started, we are not having conversations about going online, being in front of the camera. No, that really wasn't it. But Edith, I want to say that there was something very profound that I think you said, because I think we talked about like the gap that I was feeling. Here I would call it a missional gap. You know, that there was a missional gap for stay-home moms, like literally people who have chosen and said, I'm going to be home, you know, raise my family, take care of my children. The unseriousness, the rest of our friends be like, Neka to send, tell where you get. Yeah, so for you to really, like, for me to get that encouragement of like, that would be a missional gap
that you can feel.
Yes, that I could feel it. I had lived there when this, you will tell like someone who is overwhelmed with being home and things like that. So I really like just gave my life to that. Yeah.
So Faith, how are you now reaching your missional gap, the stay-home moms? But then what other things are you doing? I know you're still a stay-home mom.
Yes.
That hasn't changed, but you're no longer depressed. You have a purpose. You feel like you have a purpose.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now to reach stay-home moms? Maybe using digital tools or digital resources, but then also what else are you doing to feel like, to give you that feeling of you have a purpose right now, you have something to wake up to? Yeah.
Let me start with something that really happened this morning that was very profound. One of your videos, Significant Women, it was like you talked about how what's more important than showing up in front of your phone, you know, your other than your digital footprint is your personal life. And for me, the word of God has called us to be the light of the world. You're the light of the world. Therefore, let your light so shine that men may see your good works and praise your heavenly Father in heaven. It's been the little things of before we even get to start making impact online. One of the things that you probably have noticed about, we are very much on like environment, like taking care of the environment and things like that. The little things we nurture when we walk on the streets with Gold, and Gold says, Mama, where have the people thrown rubbish on the road? And she goes like, but these people also, like the rubbish, don't they see that it's making the road dirty? While we were coming up, the traffic lights at the Lugogo bypass there. It's a public holiday today, Heroes Day. Yeah. So there really wasn't much like traffic, but we come up and it's a red light. And then Gold says that, but Mama, where are they going? When the light is red, so that the way that first of all we are choosing to live our lives off the
camera.
Yes, off the camera is very, very important, so that like our child can be able to, oh my gosh, last night I think I was eating and Em asked me something and I answered with food in my mouth, and she goes, Mom, why are you talking with food in your mouth? Like, for us, those moments make us know that we are creating impact and value. And so when I show up online,
it's not like you're faking things. Your whole life out of camera is impacting your life online. Like,
and people see me do things like the affirmations, you know, someone actually thought that those affirmations are maybe things in like the curriculum for Golden. So I'm like, no, You know, that's not it. When they see us memorizing scripture, we don't only do it in school time, we make sure we incorporate it in our lives. So that when I come and I'm talking about you're the light of the world, it's just really reinforced for me in my own personal life. How am I living in my marriage? How am I living in the way that I'm bringing up my own child? You know, how am I doing that? And I constantly have to reevaluate, recheck, communicate. You're wrong here, babe, I'm sorry, to just really make sure that as we come online and now tell people about the love of Christ, they can really be able to see that this is the life that we are living.
Okay, so Faye, which social media platforms are you using right now, and how are you using them?
So I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I am on YouTube,
and WhatsApp.
Yes. WhatsApp is the one which I use on a daily, you know. So one of the things that I do, and I really made sure that I don't post before this video, is that just to have, what do you call it, a social media, you call it a journal, something like journey, like, you know, what are you doing? So because of also the interests that I have, so Mondays are my mental health Mondays, you know,
on WhatsApp.
Yes, on WhatsApp.
So you use your status.
I use my status to like start post things, but with a call to action at the back of my mind. So yeah, I start prompting people to like just have conversations. Like I mean, like we've said a million times, it is no use getting a Bible verse and just throwing it out there and everyone is like, so what? And me too, I keep, once I skim over I skim over them and I'm moving on to like the next thing. They are not prompting. So yeah, that's one of the ways in which I'm really using my social media to just really get people and just start having conversations with where they are in life.
So Faith, from what I think you have done this for like maybe like 2 or 3 years, would you recommend, or what would you tell someone if you met someone who is probably in your state like you are in then, or someone who is trying to look for a purpose, they want to feel like they're impacting lives and all that in this generation? What would you tell them in regards to them getting online?
Guys, life these days, the streets where things are happening is probably not on Kampala Road or in Kisementi or I don't know, on Manhattan Street in New York or whichever boulevard or whatever. I mean, if you're going to meet people and make an impact and global village, you're going to find it on your gadget, really, on this phone, and wherever you are. I'm probably not going to be able to, like, you know, I'm not so much into fashion. Let the fashion people do their things. For me, what I know is that right now where I am, I'm a stay-home mom and I am a home educator, you know. So my niche, first of all, is really just going to be the life that I understand best.
That's true.
You know, just pick that what you understand best. Some people, they love to cook, you know, pick up cooking. For some people, one of the things that my husband does is sports. He has not posted but you know, like once he gets a ball in his hands, it's easy for him to start a conversation on camera talking about, I don't know, whatever sports it is that is going around, you know. And then also, of course, like with his business, the woodworking and things like that, somehow he finds a way in which to have conversations with people. So just start where you are, guys. Just start where you are.
And I like the fact that when we talk about being a content creator, many people are thinking TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, those big social media platforms. But I think what I like about your story is that you're using WhatsApp, one of the most used social media platforms, but most of us use it maybe to connect with people, call and say hi and chat with other people, but we don't look at it as a ministry tool.
Because you know, like on WhatsApp, when someone likes, you know, gives me a green heart on WhatsApp, it's very easy for me to be like, oh, Edith, you liked my video. What was it about it? Like even in real time for me, but like Instagram, YouTube, how many, unless someone really has your contacts, how are they going to, you know, like come back to you and like start having those conversations? One of the things that once or twice a week I'll do on WhatsApp is pray, you know, and just ask people, how may I pray for you? And it's so easy for someone to, you know, to just reply immediately on WhatsApp and say, this is how you may pray for me. And then that will lead on to like just other conversations, other deeper conversations from right there.
So you're turning a very simple tool that we use on a daily, I don't know how many times, to impact lives. And I think that's something that we need to understand or appreciate, that being a content creator, you don't have to be on these big platforms. You just need to find one platform that you can use very well. So you're very good at WhatsApp. I think last week one person told me, you're very bad at communication. On WhatsApp, I'm terrible. But when it comes to YouTube, I'm there. So I think we all are different. And we have to appreciate that we don't try to be like the other. I don't have to be like you. You're doing great on WhatsApp. I don't have to be like you. You don't have to be like me. But get what really works for us and go with that. All right, Faith, as we conclude, what is your last advice to the person there watching you?
So, I mean, when we talk about digital, we are always just telling people you can make a reach and make an impact in your life. So very many times when someone comes to me and says maybe they're starting a new business and stuff like that, they are looking for clients, my first question is, are you using social media? And before they go, and then I'm like, no, I'm not talking about TikTok, I'm not talking about Instagram, I'm not talking about like all those things. I'm just talking about simple daily WhatsApp which you use every day. That's where your friends are, people in your friend circles. Can you first even learn to use your WhatsApp status to advertise, to market your product? And then once you have done WhatsApp, we shall now talk about those other things, because for me, I've actually seen, we've literally built a business to sew interiors, literally just on WhatsApp. Like the clients and the clients and the referrals and everything. That was our very first, and most of our clients really, they come through there. So that's what I would tell, like, really someone before I open my Instagram or my TikTok, WhatsApp is always there. Messages, news. I mean, like, it's my go-to. But I also know that some people have perfected the niche of Instagram and YouTube and things like that. So whatever is comfortable for you. But the reason why I talk so much about WhatsApp is, like, guys, it's the underdog that we overlook. It's like the beans, the beans or the rice that, you know, but it's always there for everyone's taking. You can do ministry there, you can build a business, you can have impact. So if you're really looking for, like, the first place and the first thing to use, that is, you know, where someone that says, so how do I even get on TikTok? We've had those questions.
I know, right?
I'm like, why are you even thinking about TikTok? You have WhatsApp. Can we start from there before we move on?
Thank you so much, Faith. I think for me, what I pick is, if you're not online, I don't know. We can't even describe you in this era of, like, you've had, they are building a business online. They are impacting lives online. They, like,
we are missionaries.
You're
Our
missionary. Yeah, she her missional gap. She's using that
online.
Yeah,
that's I don't have a church or but like where I teach the word of God. You know, as someone who is a teacher of the word of God. Online.
Yeah, so guys, whatever you want to do, whatever you're thinking about, you can do it online. But what I think one thing that I pick is that you have found purpose.
Yeah.
You don't have to do like go anywhere or what, just with your phone at home.
Yeah.
You have found purpose and you're using this small tool, and you've called it an underdog, a small app that we think is it's not really there, like WhatsApp, to make a difference.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Faith, and thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please put in the comment section what you have liked from her story, or if you have any question for her, please, you can put it in the comment section. I'm sure she's going to respond.
I will answer it Mondays.
Yeah.
I'm always like waiting for a new video to drop.
Yeah, so please put in the comment section anything that stood out for you from this video. Ask any question that you might have, and if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to Significant Woman. Like this video, share it with someone. If you know someone out there who's looking for purpose in life, how to impact lives, I think this video is for them, because it is simple, like it's basic things, and yet she's impacting thousands of people online. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. We are going to see you in our next video. Bye.